Guys, please stop being doctors, lawyers, scientists, biologists, surgeons. We don't need more of those. We need a couple things and a couple things only. We need more clothing brands. We need more nail techs. We need more course sellers. And we need more Instagram barbers. Please.
I really didn't think it could get worse than this. TikTok streetwear brands. If you're still thinking about buying from that streetwear brand, let's dive a little bit deeper. And this isn't just about scams and slow shipping. TikTok has turned streetwear into a soulless, clout-driven cash grab. And so today we're going to break down what's really wrong with TikTok streetwear brands. TikTok is selling a dream, not a brand. I've seen so many people actually make money not selling the products themselves, but selling themselves. Now, what do I mean by that? Essentially, it's the same thing we're seeing with finance bros online. People selling a course on how to sell a course. In this case, it's streetwear brand owners teaching people how to start a streetwear brand. And on top of that, they're selling the image of being a brand owner rather than the actual brand itself. So essentially, a lot of these brand owners is actually selling the lifestyle and not the actual product. And a ton of these brand launches are just content that they can use for engagement. No inventory and no fulfillment system, not even focused on business, just the content itself. With their goal being to go viral, get followers, sell the product, and then maybe ship something out. And that's a big maybe, because there's been so many cases of brand owners actually scamming their customers and just not even shipping out items in the first place. It's almost became a meme at this point. People always asking for their hoodies to ship. It's like, bro, you actually bought the product. Why do you not have it in hand yet? And on top of that, it's the fake lifestyle marketing. They got the rented car, the rented Airbnb, and probably even borrowed clothes. The whole idea behind this is to make brands look bigger than they actually are. And at the end of the day, they're just building an aesthetic around the lifestyle that they want to promote, not a brand that they're actually trying to build. And don't get me wrong, I totally understand if someone's trying to do that for the aesthetic of their brand. For example, let's just say someone started a brand focused on Western wear. It would make sense to include those types of product shots and lifestyle in their photos and lookbooks. But obviously, I'm more so talking about the brand owners who are trying to romanticize luxury. And this causes a lot of customers to actually confuse the lifestyle aspirations with the brand legitimacy. And just because that brand owner has that luxury car in their Instagram, it does not mean they're going to ship out your clothes. And another problem is the private labels disguised as streetwear brands. And so what is a private label and why does this matter? This essentially means that people are just reselling blanks from either Alibaba or other platforms, creating a quick mock-up of their design, getting it manufactured, and shipping it out. And there's not necessarily anything wrong with that, but a lot of streetwear brands try to market their stuff as exclusive. But it is literally mass-produced with someone else's template. The only actual work they did is create the graphics and send it to a manufacturer. But really, what line do we draw when it's an actual brand versus someone just screen printing something onto a Gildan tee? And of course, we have to focus on the actual way that these streetwear brands market TikTok. Most of these TikTok streetwear brands actually treat TikTok as their end product, with their shirt just being a prop. You'll see multiple posts a day by the brand, but you'll get no response by customer service. These brands prioritize virality over actually taking care of their customers and improving the quality and fit of their clothes. And if you see a streetwear brand with their comments turned off, that's all I have to say about that. And one of my personal biggest problems with these streetwear brands is the lack of identity. Every single trend that you see, they're going to be hopping on it. These brands pivot faster than the TikTok algorithm. Like one week it's Chrome Hearts ripoff, and then it's Gorpcore, and then it's workwear. And really, there's just no identity behind it. There's no true grounded, rooted meaning behind it. There's no DNA. It's all just trend chasing to cash out before the next trend starts. And it's okay to follow trends sometimes, but your brand does not have any staple pieces. It's constantly changing and switching its identity. And in the long run, that's just not going to be sustainable. Most of these streetwear brands also try and create a false community. Join our movement actually means join our mailing list. There's no real customer interactions, no real fans. And really, community isn't built through the comment section. It's built through the actual value that your brand creates. It's storytelling, the quality of its products, and the actual values that you share with your customers. Which leads on to the stereotype that start a brand is the new start a podcast. It's essentially like the new pyramid scheme. And at this point, it's an identity play, not a business. The number of brand owners who never even order samples is crazy. And some people are even starting a how to start your brand course without even starting their own brand. And then time in and time out, we always hear about the sustainability and fast fashion aspect of it. And we're not going to get into that rabbit hole, but too many of these brands just have cheap polyester prints with fancy names. There's zero talk of where they source their fabric or the long-term wearability of their clothes. Throw the clothes in the wash one time and see how the product comes out in the dryer. And essentially, this is just fast fashion 2.0 that is now disguised as like an indie brand or a small business. And the true testament to see if a streetwear brand actually has any real value is to check the resale market. I guarantee you, if you look up most TikTok brands, they will almost never show up on the secondhand market like on Grailed or eBay. And the reason for this is because they're not collectibles and they don't have any real value. What they really are is just merch. And the reason why this is bad is because customers want to buy something to actually wear and own, not just to wear once and throw away that has no value. People want to feel like they connect with the brand. They want to feel like they have the same values. They want to relate to the storytelling. And too many of these streetwear brands just completely neglect that, which I feel like is the most important part. What is the real meaning of what you're creating? If you can't correctly communicate that to an audience, then your brand isn't sustainable. And the sad part is too many of the good brands are getting buried by the TikTok streetwear brands. The algorithm on TikTok favors the aesthetics and not necessarily the authenticity. There's too many small brands that I've seen that have some really cool concepts that are getting like 200 views. Meanwhile, the TikTok shop shirts and the AI generated shirts on the Gildan Blank are getting 200,000 plus likes, which sadly is the reality for most brands. The TikTok streetwear brands don't care about improving their quality. They care about improving their views and getting more sales. A lot of great quality, sustainable brands, you'll see a lot of 2.0 versions and constant reiterations, whereas the TikTok streetwear brands rarely ever reiterate their collections, re-release new versions of their clothes with adjusted sizings, and just improve the quality in general. It's sad to say, but a lot of the brands just have no dialogue with the customer and the product themselves. People just don't feel really connected to a brand whenever they can't convey the meaning behind it. And yeah, if you put out a cool design, every once in a while, you'll be able to get a few sales, or in some cases, you might even be able to blow up. In the short term, you're making money, but you're not going to have the customers who are coming in every single brand drop and showing their support. Which leads on to another recent thing happening with streetwear brands, which I think is crazy, which is the use of AI in creating designs. We're now seeing entire collections that are designed by AI. And in no way am I against using AI, especially if it's a tool that helps you become more efficient at something. But the problem with selling AI art is that it removes all intentionality and just human vision. In my opinion, if you're creating a brand that you really want to have some sort of narrative with, creativity, the curation, and the overall purpose is the most important thing. And with the current state of the copy and paste designs of these brand owners, seems like everyone has a brand and is a brand owner, but no one is an actual brand designer. Being a brand owner in the past used to mean that you had a lot of creative vision. You had those design skills, the fashion literacy, and the history. You knew how to be a storyteller and to create a vision. But now it just means Canvas Pro, Photoshop, and a TikTok account. And in my opinion, there's a huge gap between running a store online and actually creating a brand. And if you go online and see videos from the people showing you how to actually run your own brand, you'll see the crazy hidden behind the scenes details that you don't really think about. And these are the short-term marketing tactics. This is done in all levels of marketing and sales. It's not just for streetwear brands, but when you catch on to some of the tactics that are used, all of your trust will be gone. I'm talking about using the countdown timers, that fake scarcity, and that kind of last chance language that they use on every drop. And most of the time, if a streetwear brand doesn't actually sell all their products, they'll just completely turn off the site and close it down because they don't want it to look like they had an unsuccessful drop. Because a lot of these brands are built around the limited drops. They don't really want to have those statement pieces that people can buy at any time because it makes it look like they have less hype. But the problem with building a brand around hype is that eventually that hype will fade and the brand will suffer from that. And so essentially what's really happening is that drop model that was kind of invented by old school brands like Supreme, having exclusive limited drops, it's being abused. In the past, these limited edition drops from brands like Supreme were used to build exclusivity and hype around their craftsmanship. But now it's just a tactic. It's used to avoid inventory risk and to build a fake sense of urgency. But as a brand, if your quality is mid, your exclusivity doesn't matter. And I know this has been stressed time and time again, but really, if there's no identity or no cultural roots, your brand is going to suffer for it. Because think about it, all of the OG brands that have been successful, like Supreme and Bape, for example, they've all came from some sort of subgenre other than actually the brand themselves. Whether that be skate, sneakers, hip hop, or even just like punk rock, they have some sort of attachment to a subculture. And that has built their identity around everything that they do. And these TikTok brands are just completely detached from that subculture. And I'm not saying you have to have some sort of cultural commentary or rebellion behind your brand, But if you're just using flames and different fonts to build your brand, it's just never going to be sustainable long term. And I think really one of the saddest parts is how many brands are created and then are gone within 6 months to a year. Just go and look at the Shopify stores of a lot of these streetwear brands. It's probably going to be page 404 not found. And I really think the root of it is because after that brand's viral moment, there's just no foundation left, resulting in no revenue. And then just next thing you know, they're gone. And I think it's an awesome thing whenever brands blow up that really have that creative storytelling and meaning behind their brands. But for a brand who hops from trend to trend, it's just not sustainable long term, and you are eventually going to fall. Like the true brand owners who are going to win are the ones running that marathon, running that mile, not that 100-meter dash. And really, at the end of the day, it's just so sad to see a lot of these brands who have such passion and creativity become overshadowed by the TikTok streetwear brands. What do you need to look out for whenever you're buying from a brand? Because no one wants to be scammed by some brand that's going to take your money and never ship out your clothes, which happens way too often, by the way. To find that real long-term sustainable brand, make sure they have a visible founder, because a lot of these brands typically do. Make sure they have good testimonials and reviews. Always check the comments to make sure that they're not disabled or been deleted. Maybe even just check their tag photos to see if genuine people have received their products. And if they have an original design language and clear story, a lot of times I think that's a green flag. Especially the brands that are transparent around their productions of how they actually create their clothes, and also just having like those fit guides and fabric descriptions showing all of the steps in the process and how it actually would fit on you. These are ways you can tell if a brand is actually building something worthwhile and is going to have value and last in the future, or if they're just riding off trends. Now, I'm all about entrepreneurship and creating a streetwear brand, but I don't like how a lot of these brand owners are scamming people, taking advantage of them, releasing low quality products, and really just not providing any sort of real value. Because at the end of the day, the streetwear brands who are actually going to make a difference are the ones creating the trends, not following every single one. But thank you for watching. If you're into men's fashion, streetwear, and sneakers, make sure to check out some of my other videos. And in my last video that I made like this, I noticed a lot of brand owners were actually commenting. So if you're a streetwear brand owner yourself, let me know what you think about all of this. Do you agree with all these marketing tactics and sales tactics, or am I just looking too deep into it? And once again, thank you for 10,000 subscribers. I'm going to keep continuing to create content just like this. So if you like it, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss another video. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.